Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. For this particular series, I am joined by my wonderful co-host, that darn kitty.
Dorkus and I are both going into the story completely new with almost no knowledge of the story or world.
Each segment, we intend to cover what happens in each new chapter and discuss our experience along the way.
Hold on to your butts, because this is Ascension Unleashed, a blind read through, and today we will be covering chapter 38.
Chapter 38! I'm scared for this very blind read.
I'm very scared. Yeah, I don't want this.
Okay, last minute predictions. What are you expecting, kitty?
I'm not. I don't know. I don't know what I expect, but I'm very scared that Ellen dies. You convinced me very well last time that Ellen's on his way out. Or yeah, he's done.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be a situation where like they name him king and then something comes in and just interrupts the meeting and then and just like everyone's dead or not, but I'm expecting something to interrupt the proceedings. The question is, will it be before or after?
Okay. Okay. Are you're expecting the interruption, but is the interruption, does it necessarily have to result in Ellen's death?
Correct. I don't know if the death will happen
Oh.
this chapter or not, but I am expecting it in this book.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So we have two death predictions now then, Elend and
Mm.
Breeze, right?
Yes, but Ellen seems a lot more
Likely.
likely. Breeze was just like, oh well, we were like, who's probably gonna fall off? So but yeah, it's like the way he was wrapped up in this previous thing was just maybe it's Gurm who's made us think, okay, he's wrapped up, therefore he's dead. I don't
No,
know.
see, but that can't be because Gurm kills characters off
Yeah,
before they're wrapped up. And that's
yeah,
part of
true.
what
He's
makes
just,
his stuff so exciting.
his is just like, oh, you like that person? Oh, they're dead. That's it. Mm.
Okay, no more procrastinating. We have to get
Well,
into
I'm
this now.
scared. Okay, yeah, we have to do it. Let's go.
This is the problem. Though I believed in Alendi at first, I later became suspicious. It seemed that he fit the signs, true, but how can I explain this? Could it be that he fit them too well? I swear to God, Quan,
Okay.
tell me something. Just, like, stop with this shit already.
Right, Quan is just having a ramble again. It's just great, thanks, cool. Here's the problem. We know this. We know you were believed. So finally, could it be that he fit them too well? That it got that was the main point of this whole epigraph.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. He took how many words to get to could it be that he fit them too well? Couldn't he have said I was suspicious of Alendi because it seemed like he fit the signs too well. We know that you believed in him and then you changed. We know. We know.
All of that, all of the preamble, just to say it seemed too good to be true, essentially. And what does that even mean? But this
He's
contrasts
gonna
with,
explain.
but this does contrast very specifically with our prediction that it seems too obvious that it's Vin. I will say that. And
Ooh,
why we
yeah.
don't think it's Vin anymore.
Yeah, we literally don't think it's Vin because we're like, no, it's too obvious. That
Yeah.
is literally all we've done. That's the only argument we really have because it's no, she's got the powers, she's everything, and it's like no, we can't. It's not her because that's just not the way we think the story's going. I don't remember us having a really concrete theory for why it's not her,
Yeah.
other than it can't be her because it's too obvious.
Right. Which makes me wonder
Mm.
if Sazed is going to come to our conclusion with regards to Vin, or if he's going to make the same mistakes that Quan here made. Hopefully, he will come to our conclusion because he has the guidance of Quan here, where he says he fit them too well.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. Hope we don't want that parallel to continue completely. We want history to teach this iteration of hero and announcer person who we still kind of think it's Sarzed is being set up for it, I think, as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It's going through an arc. Are we stalling? Yeah, we're stalling.
We're
Okay.
stalling.
Oh, it's me. How can he possibly look so confident when I feel so nervous?
Vin thought, standing beside Elend as the assembly hall began to fill. They had arrived early this time. Elend said he wanted to appear in control by being the one who greeted each assemblyman as he arrived. Good tactic. Smart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Better than like, look, you don't get that dramatic hello entrance thing, but it's like they are coming to visit him. They are here to see him
Yeah.
because he's the first person there. Yeah.
Today the vote for king would occur. We expected this after the last chapter.
Yes.
Vin and Ellen stood on the stage, nodding to the assemblymen as they entered through the room's side door. On the floor of the room, the benches were already growing crowded. As always, the first few rows were seated with guards. We'll see how useful those guards are in a moment, I'm sure. You look beautiful today, Ellen said, looking at Vin. Vin shrugged. Oh no. She had worn her white gown, a flowing garment with a few diaphanous layers on the top. Like the others, it was designed for mobility, and it matched Ellen's new outfits, especially with the dark embroidery on the sleeves. Her jewelry was gone, but she did have a few white wooden barrettes for her hair.
It's odd how quickly wearing these gowns became natural for me again.
I'm glad you made the switch. The trousers and shirt are you, but this is you too. The part of you I remember from the balls when we barely knew each other. Aw.
No, stop it.
He understands her
these
inner conflict.
Yes, he does. But and again, that's just like, what are we putting bows on top of the bows here?
Vin smiled wistfully, looking up at him, the gathering crowd growing a bit more distant.
You never did dance with me.
I'm sorry, he said, holding her arm with a light touch. We haven't had much time for each other lately, have we? Vin shook her head. I'll fix that. Once this confusion is all through, once the throne is secure, we can get back to us. Oh, stop, Sanderson. I can't put it any other ways.
You know what? I would really love to be wrong though, because I want them to have time for them.
It
But
would be nice.
I just, yeah, can we be wrong? Can we be so wrong, please?
Vin nodded, then turned sharply as she noticed movement behind her. An assemblyman was walking across the stage. You're jumpy, even more than usual. What am I missing? Vin shook her head.
I don't know. It's so sorry, the dramatic irony of all of this, because we're like, we know.
Yup.
Okay, anyway. I mean, he's always been in danger, so that it's but anyway, I'm
Also,
jumpy. Mhm.
also, very big hot take, but I'm really, really frustrated that Vin does not seem to have said a single thing to Elend before today regarding Zane's confrontation and the brother
Oh,
thing and
yeah.
the threat, because as we, I think, have made perfectly clear, this seems like such an opportunity for something bad to happen that
Mhm.
it's like, how could you're really straining my suspension of
Ooh.
disbelief by not having them briefly mentioned it at any point, even Vin just thinking to herself a decision not to talk to Elend about it.
Yeah, something like that. And I feel like that is setting it up for it. Vin will then feel quite guilty for not having discussed it with Ellen, because it will she'll think maybe if they had discussed it, they would have prepared better.
Mm-hmm.
Then then they could have saved him if she hadn't just been such a moron. So
Yeah.
it works. Eek.
Vin shook her head.
I don't know.
Elend greeted the assemblyman, one of the Ska representatives, with a firm handshake. Vin stood at his side, her earlier wistfulness evaporating like mist as her mind returned to the moment.
What is bothering me? What is bothering you, Vin? We be I hope she actually has the thought that maybe I should have spoken about. I hope that she has like that throwaway thought that you mentioned, even if it's now. I want it. Like, why? this is kind of like giving me the vibes of, oh, they forgot about that fleet. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot about this. Like,
Right.
uh,
But now would just be such a wonky time to do it, I think.
it's wonky. I understand, but she like the fact that she says, "What is bothering me?" Now it would be wonky. Yeah, she goes, "What is bothering me?" It'd be like, "Oh yeah, Zane."
Yeah,
It
like
is wonky,
if
but it's
some
something.
yeah, but like if somehow it had just slipped her mind and it popped in now, if I were Vin, I'd be like, I should tell him this after the election
Yeah.
because I don't want to distract him from the event. It's one thing to distract him from the coming election, but during the
Mm.
election, it's like, no, you let him focus on that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And but from the fact that she doesn't know what is bothering her right now, that is a problem.
Yeah.
Like you don't know what's bothering you. We know. We know a lot more. Like we were there too.
Yep. The room was packed. Everyone wanted to witness the events of the day. Ellen had been forced to post guards at the doors to maintain order, but it wasn't only the number of people that made her edgy. It was a sense of wrongness to the event. People were gathering like carrion feeders to a rotting carcass.
Okay, so I guess everybody just wants to see what happens. It's not like they're there to see good things happen. They're like, no, 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 this is going to be fun.
Everyone's tuning in for the drama.
Yeah.
We see you in the
This
chat. I kid, you're all great.
this isn't right.
Vin said, holding Ellen's arm as the assemblyman moved off.
Government shouldn't change hands based on arguments made from a lectern.
Just because it hasn't happened that way in the past doesn't mean it shouldn't happen. Vin shook her head.
Something is going to go wrong, Elland. Set will surprise you, and maybe Penrod will too. Men like them won't sit still and let a vote decide their future.
She's not wrong.
Well, she's not wrong. That's true. But I don't think this is helping.
Yeah.
But then again, I do want her to say something's going to go wrong. She needs to tell him like I can imagine us going, Vin, tell him something. You know, that has been quite an issue in this book. She has not communicated with him,
Mm-hmm.
and her excuse has always been, oh well, but he's got things on his mind. So I guess this is at least something.
Yeah.
Her instincts are usually right.
And to a point, I trust the group, the crew, to be able to make smart decisions in the face of adversity. So
Yeah.
it's good that she's on edge, but also trust your friends.
Yeah. It's like we know, Vin. We expected you to do that anyway. I think everybody would expect Vin to say, "This is wrong. Something's going to be wrong," because that is Vin's never going to be like, "This is a perfect day. It's going to be great."
Yeah. I know. But they aren't the only ones who can offer up surprises. Vin looked at him quizzically.
You're planning something?
He paused, then glanced at her. Well, Ham and I came up with something last night. A ploy. I've been trying to find a way to talk to you about it, but there hasn't been time. We had to move quickly. That's right, they came
Okay,
up with
so
something.
they did come up with something, but it's like again just this theme of they just haven't had time for each other. They haven't had time to tell each other, and that's probably going to be a problem. And also now I'm just thinking somebody's listening with tin enhanced ears here, so you can't tell her now. Don't tell her now. I don't know. I don't know if telling her now would even
Oh
make a
gosh.
difference.
I just,
Though, did you read ahead? Shush.
no. I have a theory.
Okay, tell me the theory. That's fine. You can ruin me with theories, but not with the actual.
It's gonna be a proposal.
Oh, yes, and she's wearing white as well.
Yeah. He's gonna propose to her in front of everyone.
Uh, ooh,
And,
that's not a good idea. Mm. But
ooh.
no, if it is a proposal, then he definitely would have been smart enough to speak to her. It will be stupid if he did not speak to her about it because then Ellen, no, and he called it a ploy.
Mm-hmm.
So if he says it's a ploy and then he proposes to her, oh, you moron, Ellen, you absolute moron.
I'm gonna push back on that. Vin knows he's wanted to marry her because he has proposed before.
True. but Vin, yeah, okay, but I know insecure human females, okay? And it's she would still wonder. She would still wonder at that, or Zane would, like, try and poison her against it or something like that. So she has the of course, she has the truth in mind,
Look,
but then her insecurity will just be like, "No, it's horrible. No, it was a ploy. He's just using you."
but look, could you imagine? They're like just starting to take the vote, and Alan's like, members of the assembly, before we start, there's something I want to do. Vin,
Oh,
will
he's gonna do it. He's
Vin, will you
just
be my queen?
yeah.
Or some cheesy line like that to just plant in the
I feel like
heads,
you're right.
queen.
I think you're right. Oh god. Okay, let's get
Okay.
there. Stop being right.
Vin frowned, sensing his apprehension. She started to say something, but then stopped, studying his eyes. He seemed a little embarrassed.
What?
Well, it kind of involves you, and your reputation. I was going to ask permission, but... Vin felt a slight chill. Behind them, the last assemblyman took his seat, and Penrod stood up to conduct the meeting. He glanced toward Elend, clearing his throat. Okay, so it does have something to do with Vin.
Okay, but maybe it's not a proposal, it's more like, "Vin, make everybody feel things." You know? I don't know.
Maybe?
But yeah, I was gonna ask your permission. That's a big blow. And that helps Zane, because Zane's like, "Oh, she'll see what kind of man Elend is," and here it is.
Here's the thing.
Oh.
He could ask now. He could whisper to her, I'd like to propose to
Yeah,
you in front of everyone, just so you're
like
prepared.
yeah,
If
it's
you
just
don't
better
want...
to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
now's the time.
moron. All those bows, but he's still a moron.
Aw, yeah. Elend cursed quietly. Look, I don't have time to explain. It's really not a big deal. It might not even get me that many votes, but, well, I had to try, and it doesn't change anything. Between us, I mean.
What?
Lord Venture, Penrod said, are you ready for this meeting to begin? The hall grew quiet. Vin and Elend still stood in the center of the stage, between the lectern and the seats of the assembly members. She looked at him, torn between a sense of dread, a sense of confusion, and a slight sense of betrayal. Oh no. Oh no, not betrayal, Vin. Not over
Yeah, and
this.
that button is gonna be pressed by Zane.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't you tell me? How can I be ready if you don't tell me what you're planning? And why are you looking at me like that?
She thinks this to herself, by the way, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Elend said, moving over to take his seat. I mean, I know I just said he should have told her, and he should have. He should have told her right then and there, or abort the mission. But it's not a betrayal. It's there has been time constraint. I acknowledge that.
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay.
she's just got that it's just the way it feels in the moment. This feels proper, like it just feels like a betrayal because she's so nervous. She's already jumpy, and then it's like, now you've given me something to fear. And
Mm-hmm.
Vin is just an anxiety ball. So yeah, it does that will feel a lot more serious to her than
Yeah.
especially at the moment, because she hasn't had time to rationalize it.
Yeah. Vin remained standing alone before the audience. Once so much attention would have terrified her, it still made her uncomfortable. She ducked her head slightly, walking toward the back benches in her empty spot.
That's awkward.
Yeah, and yet very cinematic at the same time, I think. I could
Mhm.
totally
Yeah.
see this on the big screen.
Mhm.
Ham wasn't there. Vin frowned, turning as Penrod opened the proceedings.
There.
She thought, finding Ham in the audience, sitting calmly with a group of Ska. The group was obviously conversing quietly, but even with Tin, Vin would never be able to pick out their voices in the large crowd. Breeze stood with some of Ham's soldiers at the back of the room. It didn't matter if they knew about Ellen's plan. They were too far away for her to interrogate them. Okay, it could be that they're gonna maybe find a way to try and nominate Vin for queen instead of a marriage proposal.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But he says it may not get me votes. So,
Yeah.
mm.
Annoyed, she arranged her skirts, then sat. She hadn't felt so blind since.
Since that night a year ago, that moment just before we figured out Kelsia's true plan, that moment when I thought everything was collapsing around me.
Perhaps that was a good sign. Had Elend cooked up some last minute flash of political brilliance? It didn't really matter that he hadn't shared it with her. She probably wouldn't understand the legal basis for it anyway.
See, there's the rationalization. So she's like, okay, cool. But that's not going to have power over her. She's only a couple years into recovery here, okay? She's not going to take this.
Yeah.
But he always shared his plans with me before.
Penrod continued to drone on, likely maximizing his time in front of the assembly. Set was on the front bench of the audience, surrounded by a good 20 soldiers sitting with a look of self-satisfaction. As well he should. From the accounts she'd heard, Set stood to take the vote with ease. But what was Elend planning? Okay, so it
Mm.
sounds like Set is the shoo-in, which I think we already knew, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's bribed everyone, he's bought everyone. It's bought and paid for election.
Yeah.
Penrod will vote for himself. So will Erland. That leaves 22 votes. The merchants are behind Set, and so are the Scar. They're too
Oh?
afraid of that. Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
sorry.
what does
No,
yours
you
say?
finish the line.
Okay. The merchants are behind Set, and so are the Scar. They're too afraid of that army to vote for anyone else.
Okay, so the scar behind Set, I was kind of
Hmm.
figuring they would lean toward Elend, actually. So this is a bit surprising to me. I know that there's
Ye-
been talk of like Set and Penrod, you like them because you think they're strong, but they're not, kind of a thing. I honestly thought that they would go Elend, though.
Yeah, because they will vote for freedom.
Yeah.
But, uh, like Set is not being, what do you call it? He's not hiding the fact that he's going to change everything back to Lord Ruler days. So I don't understand why the Scar would be with him, unless
Yeah.
they get set up and they'll be lords and whatever, and they'll be fine. So the Scar is just assholes, those ones.
Yeah. But anyway, continue.
That only leaves the nobility. Some of them will vote for Penrod. He's the strongest nobleman in the city. Many of the members of the assembly are long-time political allies of his. But even if he takes half of the nobility, which he probably won't, Set will win. Set only needs a two-thirds majority to get the throne.
8 merchants, 8 ska, 16 men on Set's side. He was going to win. What could Elend possibly do? Penrod finally finished his opening announcements. But before we vote, I would like to offer time to the candidates to make any final addresses they wish. Lord Set, would you care to go first? Interesting that he says Lord Set, because he's technically a king, not their king, but still a king.
I like that he's not a king in
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Subtle move from Penrod, I think. I think that was on
Mm,
purpose.
I like it.
In the audience, Set shook his head. I've made my offers and my threats, Penrod. You all know you have to vote for me. Okay, confident. I could have imagined him
Yeah.
going on a bit longer, but sure. Vin frowned. He seemed certain of himself, and yet... She scanned the crowd, eyes falling on Ham. He was talking to Captain Demure, and seated next to them was one of the men who had followed her in the market, a priest of the survivor.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. A priest of the survivor. He was it's got to do with your reputation.
Sure.
It'll get me votes. So seems like that's the button he wants to press, that the Church of the Survivor button, and it's
W-
her reputation. Ooh.
yeah. And this would, in theory, be to get the ska vote. I don't see how that's going to get the nobleman vote.
Yeah, exactly. But she doesn't know at all. Okay.
Yeah. Vin turned, studying the assembly. The ska representatives looked uncomfortable. She glanced at Elend, who stood up to take his turn at the front of the lectern. His earlier confidence had returned, and he looked regal in his sharp white uniform. He still wore his crown.
It doesn't change things between us. I'm sorry.
Okay, so now I'm thinking I'm leaning more into the he's going to try to make Vin queen thing than the proposal thing.
Okay. So what, like make Vin
Vote for
a
Vin.
candidate?
Yeah.
Okay.
type of a
Eh,
thing.
I'm not on that because it dilutes the votes.
Right. Well, in theory, it might. Well, yes.
Mm.
I.
Like, I think the
Hmm.
proposal gets him the Scar vote because he's then marrying the Scar lady.
Yeah.
That's how he gets votes from her.
Well, it could change the power dynamic between the two in the sense that she would be his queen rather than he would be her king, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And then
Yes.
obviously they could still get married as an option. But if Vin came in as a candidate, if she even can, we don't know the laws,
Mm.
then I imagine she would get all of the ska votes, which means that we'd have to, because Vin just did the math. So if we add in a fourth, that changes that math.
You're right. I think it makes sense that they would do that. It works.
Yeah,
And it still ends up being votes for him essentially because they're the same. They're one. Oh gosh.
yeah. And then she will, of course, be uncomfortable being the queen.
Mm.
In either way.
She'll feel used. Yeah, no
Hmm.
matter what. And she'll be also so she'll feel used by Ellen, but then also just not never wants to be queen.
There
Like,
might also be a chance to nab her some noble votes
mhm.
or even a merchant vote or two by saying, she killed the Lord Ruler. Do you want to get on her bad side? Which is the ultimate form of using her as the knife.
Oh, yeah. Which is what we're expecting from this. We're expecting death of Ellen in at
Hmm.
least some maybe if we don't get the real death of Ellen, we just get the betrayal from Ellen and we get Vin hating him.
Yeah. Something that would use her reputation to gain him votes. Her reputation was Kelsier's reputation, and only the Ska really cared about that. And there was one easy way to gain influence with them,
You joined the Church of the Survivor, didn't you?
she whispered. Ooh,
Okay.
ooh. The reactions of the Ska assemblymen, the logic of the moment, Ellen's words to her before, all of them suddenly made sense. If Elend joined the church, the Ska assemblymen might be afraid to vote against him. And Elend didn't need 16 votes to gain the throne. If the assembly deadlocked, he won. With the 8 Ska and his own vote, the others would never be able to oust him.
Very clever.
The ploy might not work. It would depend on how much hold the Church of the Survivor had on the Ska assemblymen. Yet even if some Ska voted against Elend, there were still the noblemen who would probably vote for Penrod. If enough did, Elend would still deadlock the assembly and keep his throne. All it would cost was his integrity.
Ooh.
Hmm. Do you think that's it? Do you think that's the plan, or do you think what we imagined was the plan, is the plan?
I think it's what we imagine because would he really? Well, I guess any way that this goes, Ellen has stepped out of his nobility. He's actually moved into a bit of a sneaky, schemy. So everything will cost his integrity. A
Mm.
ploy will cost his integrity, at least to Vin. Mm.
Yeah, or at least the way he went about employing the ploy, deploying the ploy.
Yeah, that's unfair.
Vin told herself if Elend had joined with the Church of the Survivor, he would hold to whatever promises he had made. And if the Church of the Survivor gained official backing, it could become as powerful in Luthadel as the Steel Ministry had once been. And how would that change the way Elend saw her?
This doesn't change anything.
He had promised. Okay, but this is important to note. Does he join them in word or in heart and soul?
Mm.
Because I can see him doing it to win the votes.
But she says she sees him. So even him doing it in word, that means that he has no integrity, right? Then she thinks about it. Oh, he'll have he'll actually keep to the promises he's made because he's got integrity. I think just either way, no matter what has happened here, she's disappointed no matter what he does.
Yeah.
And no matter why he does it, she's disappointed. She's trying and you know what? The fact that she has to sit here and try and figure it out is also what's hurting her so much.
Yeah.
because she has to try and figure this out. This angst that we are feeling, she would feel it even more in this moment.
Yeah.
Poor girl.
Just go along for the ride, Vin.
Yeah, because Vin's just like that. Well, yeah, she rides the mists and things, but not when it comes to this sort of thing. Hmm.
She dully heard him begin to speak, and his references to Kelsier now seemed obvious to her. Yet the only thing she could feel was a slight sense of anxiety. It was as Zane had said. She was the knife. A different kind of knife, but still a tool. The means by which Elend would protect the city. She should be furious, or at least sick. Why did her eyes keep darting toward the crowd? Why couldn't she focus on what Elend was saying, on how he was elevating her? Why was she suddenly so on edge? Why were those men subtly moving their way around the edges of the room? Okay. This is
Uh-oh.
Zane's attack.
Mhm.
It's totally Zane's attack.
Mm.
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah,
I don't know, it's a problem.
she's definitely feeling like the knife. I don't think that's
Mhm.
entirely fair. And how, as you have said, the woman of it all, she was upset several chapters back about not being useful, and yet when Ellen does decide to use her, she's like, no, don't use me like that.
But now she's just like she should be furious, but she's actually just so scared. So it's like, no, something's so wrong. There's just too much going on in her mind right now.
Is she
Um,
being rioted, do you think, to
that's
feel
I'm
bad?
wondering.
I can't
Yeah, I'm
imagine
like,
she wouldn't be burning bronze or
yeah,
copper.
that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
So, Ellen said, by the blessing of the survivor himself, I ask you to vote for me. He waited quietly. That's it? That's all we get?
Yeah, it's just imagine whatever we imagine is better, I suppose.
Yeah. He waited quietly. It was a drastic move. Joining the Church of the Survivor put Elend under the spiritual authority of an external group, but Ham and Demure both thought it a good idea. Elend had spent the better part of the previous day getting the word out to the Ska citizens about his decision. Okay, that's
Okay.
problematic. If
Mm.
Elend is beholden to the Church of the Survivor, it's one thing to become a member of the church and
Hmm.
worship as a member of the church, but if you have to answer to the church leaders, that is very problematic.
Yeah. That is that's weak. That's you've sold out.
Yeah, and that doesn't even really seem like an Elend move to me either. Like he's willing to sell everyone out to the Church of the Survivor, but not to Set and not to Penrod.
Well, I think it's because he has Vin. Vin is essentially the leader of the Church of the Survivor if she
Is
wants
she
to be,
though?
because because she's the heir. So they're always asking her, "Lady heir, what do we do?" Whatever. So he probably thinks he can use Vin. Vin can overrule whatever the leaders say and basically become a hand of government for him.
I'm a bit more
She.
cautious, I think.
Hmm?
A bit more pessimistic.
Well, I think that that's what he feels he can do at least.
Ah,
I think that's why he thinks he can do it. He thinks, yeah, cool. The church is a non-issue because I've got the survivor's heir.
maybe.
I've got the most powerful holy relic.
It felt like a good move. The only thing he worried about was Vin. He glanced at her. She didn't like her place in the Church of the Survivor, and having Ellen join it meant that he, technically, accepted her part in the mythology. He tried to catch her eye and smile, but she wasn't watching him. She was looking out into the audience. Ellen frowned. Vin stood up. Oh, that feels ominous.
Mhm. Yeah, if Vin's standing up, Vin's gonna fuck it up. It's happening. What has Vin seen? She saw the people moving. That's the last thing we saw. She saw the men. Now
I,
what?
I gotta say, though, I kind of like my idea about the marriage proposal as the ploy better than joining the church. What do you think? I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah, I just think it would be a stupid Ellen move in terms of between him and Vin. It would be a
M-
dumb thing for him not to have spoken about this to her.
Mary,
Um,
yeah, I
mm.
agree. He could have so easily whispered to her, "I joined the Church of the Survivor."
Yeah,
Like 2 seconds right there before the speech.
that would have a lot more meaning for Vin than having to sit there and puzzle it through and figuring it out.
Yeah,
She
that
would
was
en she would feel a lot better having been told.
yeah, that was unnecessarily stressful, Elend. And honestly, I think the proposal would have accomplished the same exact thing because that way you are a part of the mythology rather than a servant
Mm.
to the priests.
Yeah, but I still think yeah, I guess, I know, but that also does require Vin to say yes. We don't know if Vin would say yes. It's a very big thing.
You don't think she would have said yes in front of all those people for the sake
She
of the
would.
kingdom?
She would have said yes in for the sake of the kingdom, but she would resent him forever for that, for doing that to her.
Yeah. Yeah, but it sounds like she's just prepped to resent him regardless of what he did.
Yeah, yeah, because she does she unfortunately, she's useful in his political career, and that's hurtful at
Yeah.
all, like, just in general.
So help me, if Vin just decides to walk out, I'm gonna be upset. If she walks out and then just goes with Zane right here, right now, and we don't get a resolution for the vote, I will put this book down and not pick it up. I will be so angry.
Let's see.
A man from the audience suddenly shoved aside two soldiers in the front row, then leapt supernaturally far to land up on the dais. The man pulled out a dueling cane. What? Ellen thought in shock. Fortunately, 2 months spent sparring at Tindwell's command had given him instincts he didn't know he had. As the thug charged, Elend tucked and rolled. He hit the ground, scrambling, and turned to see the beefy man bearing down on him, dueling cane raised. Okay, is this a sibling? Or is this a part of the ploy as well? No, Elend said what,
Mm,
so it's not.
yeah,
He's surprised.
yeah. It's someone else's ploy, and, it's a distraction for sure. This is not a Mistborn, it's a beefy man, so it's a thug.
I can't imagine this is something that Set or Penrod would do, though. I can
Mm-mm.
only think it's a Zane thing because Set
Yeah,
seems self assured and Penrod likes to imagine himself as honorable. So this feels like a
yeah,
Zane thing.
yeah, this is Zane Straff.
A flurry of white lace and skirts fluttered through the air over Elend. Vin slammed feet first into the thug, throwing him backward as she spun, skirts flaring. The man grunted. Vin landed with a thump directly in front of Elend. The assembly hall echoed with sudden screams and shouts. By the way, where are the rest of the guards? Vin kicked the lectern out of the way.
"Stay behind me."
She whispered, an obsidian dagger glittering in her right hand. Elend nodded hesitantly, unbuckling the sword at his waist as he climbed to his feet. The thug wasn't alone. Three small groups of armed men were moving through the room. One attacked the front row, distracting the guards there. Another group was climbing onto the dais. The third group seemed occupied by something in the crowd. Set's soldiers. The thug had regained his feet. He didn't look like he had suffered much from Vin's kick. Okay, so it sounds like Set's soldiers weren't expecting this. All
Mhm,
signs point to Zane?
mhm, yeah.
Hmm. Assassins. But who sent them? The man smiled as he was joined by a group of 5 friends. Chaos filled the room, assemblymen scattering, their bodyguards rushing to surround them. Yet the fighting in front of the stage kept anyone from escaping in that direction. The assemblymen clogged around the stage's side exit. The attackers didn't seem concerned with them, only with Elend. Vin remained in her
Yeah,
crouch.
so
Yeah,
so they're only concerned with Elend. That's very Zane, very Straff.
yes, and I'm sorry, Vin, but you should feel terrible that you never once mentioned to Ellen Zane's
Mhm,
threats. Uh,
mhm.
if you're gonna feel bad about anything, yes, I am shaming you, Vin. You should feel bad about that.
You should feel bad. She's gonna,
Yeah, she's gonna. I feel bad having said that. I'm sorry, Vin. Don't hate me.
eventually. Eventually, it's gonna get to her, but right now you see, look, she's at least fighting for him. She's all pissed off with him and everything, but she's still fighting. She's like, "Okay, we'll figure it out later."
Yeah.
Still wants him alive, jeez.
Vin remained in her crouch, waiting for the men to attack first, her posture threatening despite the frilly dress. Ellen thought he actually heard her growl quietly. The men attacked. Oh, I'm scared.
The fighting, it's good, it's happening, but now, yeah, I don't wanna I'm scared, yes, I'm just not happy. Mm-mm.
Nope. But we sort of expected this. We didn't know like how it would happen, but we
So,
did.
expecting it is not making us feel any better.
Yeah. Vin snapped forward, slashing at the lead thug with a dagger. His reach was too great, and he easily fended her off with a swipe of his staff. There were 6 men in total, 3 who were obviously thugs, leaving the other 3 to likely be coinshots or lurchers. A strong component of metal controllers. Someone didn't want her ending this fight quickly with coins. They didn't understand that she would never use coins in this situation, not with Ellen standing so close and with so many people in the room. Coins couldn't be deflected safely. If she shot a handful at her enemies, random people would die. Good observation, certainly something
Mhm.
Zane wouldn't care about.
Yeah.
But where is Ham right now?
Mhm. What's he doing? But, yeah, all this quick thinking, Vin is misspawning hard, I'm enjoying it. I hate it, I'm enjoying it. All these feelings.
She had to kill these men fast. They were already fanning out, surrounding her and Elend. They moved in pairs, 1 thug and 1 coinshot in each team. They would attack from the sides, trying to get past her to Elend. Vin reached behind herself with iron, pulling Ellen's sword from its sheath with a ringing squeal. She caught it by the hilt, throwing it at one of the teams. The coinshot pushed it back at her, and she in turn pushed it to the side, spinning it toward a second pair of Alamancers.
Ooh, nice, Vin.
Cool, good action.
Yeah, cool. She's like, "Fine, I knew you were gonna do that." She's ahead of them. Mhm.
This is very Magneto, pulling the sword out
Mhm.
and just like whipping
Mhm.
it at him. One of them pushed it back at her again. Vin pulled from behind, whipping Ellen's metal-tipped sheath out of his hands and shooting it through the air by its clasp. Sheath passed sword in the air. This time, the enemy coinshots pushed both items out of the way, deflecting them toward the fleeing audience. Men shouted in desperation as they trampled and tried to force their way out of the room. Vin gritted her teeth. She needed a better weapon. She flung a glass dagger at one assassin pair, then jumped toward another, spinning beneath the attacking thug's weapon. The coinshot didn't have any metal on him that she could sense. He was only there to keep her from killing the thug with coins. They probably assumed that Vin would be easy to defeat without being able to shoot coins. Well, that was your mistake, to be
Mhm.
certain.
That's I want that to be a mistake, that's good. Look, she uses coins out in the mists at night and all of that, that's fine, against a mistborn and whatever. But, yeah, this is just not how she works in broad daylight, in a crowd, and she's had these considerations, so
Yeah,
but Atium has not been employed
it has not, but
by a mistborn yet.
true, but neither has Duralumin.
Just Duralumin their asses everywhere, boom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Just like calm everyone down through the copper cloud that you don't know you can break with Duralumin. That has not been confirmed to us. Do not tell us in the chat if Vin can do that, please. Sorry,
Mhm.
don't.
Mhm.
The thug brought his staff back around, trying to bludgeon her with the end. She caught the weapon, yanking it forward and jumping up as she pushed against the assembly bleachers behind her. Her feet hit the thug in the chest, and she kicked hard with flared pewter. As he grunted, Vin pulled herself back toward the nails in the bleachers as hard as she could. The thug managed to stay on his feet. He seemed completely surprised to find Vin streaking away from him, holding his staff in her hands.
I like that. I'm like, when I saw the staff, when I saw mention of it, I'm like, okay, that you want a weapon? There's a weapon. Take it.
And notably, there is still no Sanderson description that this thug looks like a Venture.
Mm, yeah, it's no sibling.
Yep. She landed and spun toward Elend. He'd found himself a weapon, a dueling cane, and had the good sense to back himself against a wall. To her right, some of the assemblymen stood in a huddle, surrounded by their guards. The room was too full, the exits too small and cramped for them all to escape. The assemblymen made no moves to help Elend. Dicks.
Duh.
But also, duh, yeah. One of the assassins cried out, pointing as Vin pushed against the bleachers and shot toward them, moving herself in front of Elend. 2 thugs raised their weapons as Vin turned in the air lightly, pulling against a door's hinges to spin herself. Her gown fluttered as she landed.
I really have to thank that dressmaker.
She thought as she raised the staff. She briefly considered ripping the dress free anyway, but the thugs were upon her too quickly. She blocked both blows at once, then threw herself between the men, flaring pewter and moving faster than even them. Cool.
Ah, yeah, and it must look so pretty.
Oh, yeah. I'm imagining she'd make Kelsier very proud right now with all of the
Mhm.
spinning.
Mhm.
One of them cursed, trying to bring his staff around. Vin broke his leg before he could. He dropped with a howl, and Vin leapt onto his back, forcing him to the ground as she swung, an overhand blow at the second thug. He blocked, then shoved his weapon against hers to throw her off his companion. Elend attacked, and his actions were sluggish compared with the movements of men burning pewter. The thug turned almost nonchalantly, smashing Elend's weapon with an easy blow. Of course, but hey,
Ooh.
he's fighting back, and that's good.
Yeah, it's something. It's disruptive. Just a little note in my book. It says the king's actions seemed sluggish compared with the movements of the men. So she thinks of him as the king. Me.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Vin cursed as she fell. There's a lot of cursing in this chapter, and I know that's not something Sanderson likes to do, but I suppose
Well,
if you're gonna earn it, now's the time to pay that
yeah,
off.
and he's not writing the curse words. He's just saying, listen, they curse.
Yeah. Vin
She's saying
cursed.
curses.
Right. Curses. Knights. Vin cursed as she fell. She hurled her staff at the thug, forcing him to turn away from Elend. He barely ducked out of the way as Vin hit the ground, bounced to her feet, and whipped out a second dagger. She dashed forward before the thug could turn back to Elend. A scattering of coins flew toward her. She couldn't push them back, not toward the crowd. She cried out, throwing herself between the coins and Elend, then pushed to the sides, dividing them as best she could so they sprayed against the wall. Even so, she felt a flash of pain from her shoulder. Oh no, she's hit.
Uh-oh.
Gee, it would
Oh,
be
no.
really bad if one of these coins took out Set, by the way.
Ooh, just sorry.
Whoops.
Whoopsie. Where did he get the coins?
She thought with frustration. As she glanced to the side, she saw the coin shot standing beside a cowering assemblyman who had been forced to give up his coin pouch. I hope it was Phelan. Imagine that would
Yeah,
be
he would
very
he would
embarrassing for him.
yeah, he would hate that. He'd be like, "Those are my coins."
Vin gritted her teeth. Her arms still worked. That was all that mattered. She yelled and threw herself at the closest thug. The third thug had regained his weapon, the one Vin had thrown, and was now circling with his coin shot to try to get behind Vin.
One at a time.
Where is Ham?
Mm, I don't know.
Seriously, are there
He's
no other
fighting.
guards here?
He's fighting at the back there because there's a whole bunch of groups of these attacking squads. Because they know that there is a Ham.
Still, it feels like their king. They should
There
like
should be
rush up
something
to.
there. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, well, there. I understand another team being basically
surround him.
surround. No, but I can see another team taking Ham out of the equation. But where are the other guards? Like there must have been more
Mhm.
guards around.
Yeah. The thug nearest her swung his weapon. She needed to surprise him. She didn't dodge or block. She simply took his blow in the side, burning duralumin and pewter to resist. Something cracked within her as she was hit, but with duralumin she was strong enough to stay up. Wood shattered and she continued forward, slamming her dagger into the thug's neck. That seems
Okay.
dangerous.
Whew. And also just a now she has no pewter.
He dropped, revealing a surprised coin shop behind him. Vin's pewter evaporated with the duralumin, and pain blossomed like a sunrise in her side. Very
Mm.
sad, very
Mhm.
concerning. Also, I have to say that the prose in the last couple of chapters have been on point, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, it's always on point to me, but yeah. Wow.
Even so, she yanked her dagger free as the thug fell, still moving quickly enough to drop the coin shot with the dagger in the chest. Then she stumbled, gasping quietly, holding her side as two men died at her feet.
One thug left, and 2 coin shots. Ellen needs me.
She's doing so well, but I don't know how much
Mm.
more she can take. This is
Yeah.
a well choreographed fight scene that she's taking such blows.
Mhm.
To the side, she saw one of the coin shots fire a spray of stolen coins at Elend. She cried out, pushing them away, and she heard the coin shot cursing. She turned, counting on the blue lines from her steel to warn her if the coin shots tried shooting anything else at Elend, and ripped her backup vial of metal from her sleeve where it had been tied tightly to keep it from being pulled away. Even as she yanked the stopper open, the vial lurched from her now undexterous hand. The second coin shot.
No.
No! Tipping it and spraying its contents across the floor. Oof, that's a big blow.
Yep. That's a problem.
Yeah. Vin growled, but her mind was growing fuzzy. She needed pewter. Without it, the large coin wound in her shoulder, its blood turning her lacy sleeve red, and the crushing pain in her side were too much. She almost couldn't think. Where is Sazed during this? I I guess it...
Where's everyone?
Yeah, where is everyone? But where is anyone? But
Mm-hmm.
I suppose Tyndall would be like, don't you dare Pharaoh-chemi your way to defending them.
Okay.
I bet she'd be upset if he did that, but I'd be surprised that he isn't trying. Where is Sazed right now?
Yeah, but that's the problem is we're in such a bind right now. We can't even think that far. I mean, Vin is in the thick of it right now.
Yeah. A staff swung toward her. She jerked to the side, rolling, but she no longer had the grace or speed of pewter. A normal man's blow she could have dodged. The attack of an Alamancer was another thing.
I shouldn't have burned Duralumin.
She thought. It had been a gamble, letting her kill 2 assassins, but it had left her too exposed. The staff descended toward her. Something large slammed into the thug, bearing him to the ground in a growling flurry of claws. It's Orasor!
Dogasur!
Vin came out of her dodge as the thug punched Orasor in the head, cracking his skull.
No!
Oh! I mean,
No!
I mean, he'll be okay.
He'll be
He's a
okay,
Kandra.
but
He'll be...
still. But it
Oof.
still hurts, and he
Yeah.
has to. We have to find him. Oh God, no! But okay, he did a thing, but
It's going to be
okay.
really grotesque for him to keep fighting with a smashed-in skull. This could be...
Oh God, please.
This could be scary. And hey, Orasor might be in the know if this were Zane's doing.
Mm,
I
yeah,
imagine he
he's
might have been
chosen
ordered
sides
not to
now.
interfere. Yeah. This could be like a really big deal that we don't even
Mm-hmm.
know yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yet the thug was bleeding and cursing, and his staff had rolled free. Vin snatched it up, scrambling to her feet and gritting her teeth as she drove the butt of the staff down into the man's face. He took the blow with a curse, swiping her feet out from under her with a kick. She fell beside
Oops.
Orasor. What?
I'm just saying, oops. It's like, yeah, she doesn't have pewter. She's so exposed right now.
Yeah.
But wait, Orasur should have her metals for her.
True. She fell beside Orasor. The wolfhound oddly was smiling. There was a wound in his shoulder. No, not a wound. An opening in the flesh, and a vial of metal hidden inside. Vin snatched it. Yep. Set up, paid off. Vin snatched it, rolling, keeping it hidden as the thug regained his feet. She downed the liquid and the flakes of metal it contained. On the floor before her, she could see the shadow of the thug raising his weapon in a mighty overhand blow. Pewter flared to life inside her, and her wounds became mere annoying buzzes. She jerked to the side as the blow fell, hitting the floor, sending splinters flying. Vin flipped to her feet and slammed her fist into the arm of her surprised opponent. It wasn't enough to break the bones, but it obviously hurt. Good, Vin. Good. The thug, now missing 2 teeth, grunted in pain. To the side, Vin saw Orasor on his feet, his dog's jaw hanging unnaturally. He
Yeah,
nodded.
there's
Yeah,
that grossness you were talking about.
Yeah, it's gonna be...
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Look, yeah, you know what? At least he's helping, but shame.
Yes. He nodded to her. The thug would think him dead from the cracked skull. It occurs to me if this delays the vote, then Elend is king, yeah?
Ah, yeah. There you go.
Just that is a thought, assuming he survives, and I don't think he
Yeah.
will. I
Moron. But that,
seriously don't think he will.
yeah, I guess that would be that's the thing. That's why Straff would have allowed this to happen because it's like, nah, he's not going to live, so it's fine.
Yeah.
That's because I was going to say more on Straff because this causes the vote to turn over to him, but it's like, nah, Straff is counting on this killing him.
Yeah. More coins flew at Elend. She pushed them away without even looking. In front of her, Orasor struck the thug from behind, making him spin in surprise right as Vin attacked. The thug's staff passed within a finger's width of her head as it smashed into Orasor's back, but her own hand took the man in the face. She didn't punch. That wouldn't do much against a thug. She had one finger out, and she had impeccable aim. The thug's eye popped as she rammed her finger into the
Ooh.
socket.
Well,
Ooh.
the body horror. What's happening
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, I
Jeez.
was not prepared for that this chapter.
Popping eyes. Wow, okay.
And it speaks to when Brandon Sanderson writes very frankly, it's very
Mhm.
visceral because of its
Yeah.
frankness.
Mhm.
She hopped back as he cried out, raising a hand to his face. She smashed her fists into his chest, throwing him to the ground, then jumped over Orosor's crumpled form and grabbed her dagger off the ground. The thug died, clutching his face in agony, her dagger in his chest. How is she going to fight Zane when he pops out of the woodwork?
Mm-mm. She doesn't have at him. What's gonna happen?
Vin spun, searching desperately for Elend. He'd taken one of the fallen thug's weapons and was fending off the two remaining coin shots, who had apparently grown frustrated by her pushing away all of their coin attacks. Instead, they had pulled out dueling canes to attack him directly. Ellen's training had clearly been enough to keep him alive, but only because his opponents had to keep an eye on Vin to make certain she didn't try using coins herself. Hey, I'll take that.
Mhm. Whatever keeps him alive.
Yeah, a normie against an Allomancer, even a
Mhm.
distracted Allomancer, that seems impressive.
Mhm.
Vin kicked up the staff of the man she'd just killed, catching it. A coin shot cried out as she growled and dashed toward them, spinning her weapon. One had the presence of mind to push off the bleachers and launch himself away. Vin's weapon still caught him in midair, throwing him to the side. The next swing took down his companion, who had tried to make a run for it. Ellen stood, breathing heavily, his outfit disheveled.
Mine says costume. Mhm.
Hmm, it's not
Yeah, I
much of a
prefer
costume
outfit.
anymore, though, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's real.
I think he's
He
earned
did
it.
Yeah, he's earned it. Bad addition. He did better than I thought he would.
Vin admitted, flexing, trying to judge the damage to her side. She needed to get a bandage on that shoulder. The coin hadn't hit bone, but the bleeding would. Vin! Elend cried out. Something very strong suddenly grabbed her from behind. Vin choked as she was jerked backward and thrown to the ground. The first thug. She'd broken his leg, then forgotten. Oh
Yeah.
no.
This is not like in the movies where it's like, "Oh, I hit him grievously, it's the end." No, this is a person that has pewter and yeah. Oof.
Okay, but we need Elend now to take a dagger and just like
Mhm.
shove it in
Right.
the thug's back, and then he saves
Mhm.
her. And then it's
Mhm.
because of how much they underplayed Elend saving her in the first book. This'll be his moment to be like, I saved Vin. And then in
And
that
then he dies.
terrible moment, yeah, in that like horrible moment of revelry, having saved her, he's gonna die.
Mm,
Oh no.
here we go.
He got his hands around her neck, squeezing as he knelt above her, his legs pressing against her chest, his face wild with rage. His eyes bulged, adrenaline mixing with pewter. Vin gasped for breath. She was taken back to years before, to beatings before by men looming above her. Kamen, Reen, and a dozen others.
No.
She thought, flaring her pewter, struggling. He had her pinned, and he was much larger than she was, much stronger. Ellen slammed his staff against the man's back, but the thug barely even flinched.
Yeah, we need a
Okay,
dagger, boy. But then a dagger
yeah,
won't make it through either because it's like basically stone. Ugh.
probably. But this thought of him being so much bigger really takes me back to the duel that she had with Ham earlier in the book, where Ham is like, she's stronger than a regular
Mm,
thug would be. Like it's weird. Like
Pound
if
for
thugs
pound,
get a
she's
+5, she gets like a +50.
Mhm.
That's a horrible reassertion of what he was saying in that chapter, but I think you get my point.
Yeah. You
It's
said
been a
it in
while.
his voice too.
Vin couldn't breathe. She felt her throat being crushed. She tried to pry the thug's hands apart, but it was as Ham had always said. Her small size was a great advantage to her in most situations, but when it came down to brute strength, she was no match for a man of bulk and muscle. She tried pulling herself to the side, but the man's grip was too strong, her weight too small compared with his. She struggled in vain. She had duralumin still. Burning it only made other metals vanish, not the duralumin itself. But last time that had nearly gotten her killed. If she didn't take the thug down quickly, she'd be left without pewter once again. That's a dangerous, that is a thought.
Mhm. Yeah, but she's not wonder she knows that leaves her vulnerable. She saw the effects of it, so now she's busy trying to figure out a different way, so mm.
Mm-hmm. Elend pounded, yelling for help, but his voice sounded distant. The thug pressed his face almost up against Vin's, and she could see his fury. At that moment, incredibly, a thought occurred to her.
Where have I seen this man before?
He's a venture. That's what
Yep,
you're
he's a
saying.
venture. Yeah.
Her vision darkened. As the thug constricted his grip, he leaned closer, closer, closer. Or he's a Khandra? No, but he's a thug, so...
Yeah, yeah.
She didn't have a choice. Vin burned Duralumin and flared her pewter. She flung her opponent's hands aside and smashed her head upward into his face. The man's head exploded as easily as the eyeball had earlier.
Ooh!
Okay, well now it's going to be very gross, but it's going to be tough now to recognize him if you can't even make out his face.
Yeah, and now you have no pewter, so you're gonna be feeling that pain. Okay, but she had no choice. That was it. You, it was that or die. So
Yeah.
I understand. She had no choice. She waited as long as she could.
Yeah. If it saves your life, it saves your life.
Yeah.
Vin gasped for breath and pushed the headless corpse off her. Ellen stumbled back, his suit and face sprayed red. Vin stumbled to her feet. Her vision swam as her pewter dissipated, but even through that she could see an emotion on Ellen's face, stark as the blood on his brilliant white uniform. Horror.
No.
She thought, her mind fading.
Please, Ellen, not that.
She fell forward, unable to maintain consciousness. Okay.
What do you mean? Well, not what? Scared? Horror?
No, like, don't be afraid of me, is what I took from that.
Okay.
But I can't imagine that that's what his look of horror would be. I imagine a look of shock from the visceralness of what just happened.
Yeah,
or
he's got
horror
brains on him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or fear because of everything that's like going on, or concern for Vin, but I can't imagine him being afraid of Vin even after seeing this.
Yeah, but she's just she'll interpret it the worst way possible.
Yeah. Oh dear. And she passes out. So
we don't. Yeah, she's taken out. That's it.
So, oh gosh, imagine her waking up to Sazed saying, he didn't make it. Oh gosh. Oh no. Ellen sat in his ruined seat, hands against his forehead, the wreckage of the assembly hall hauntingly empty around him. Okay, so he did live then. Okay, good.
Yeah,
I'm glad. It sounds like it's over. This sounds like this is after the fact.
Yeah. Prediction. I hope we were wrong. But
yes,
still,
prediction.
I hope the book's going to be. You still think if it's not now, it's later.
Agreed. Yeah, if it's not now, it's later. But I will be shocked if they continue with the vote, and that does mean that Elend is king.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume, at least. Elend sat in his ruined suit, hands against his forehead, the wreckage of the assembly hall hauntingly empty around him. She'll live. She really isn't hurt that badly. Well, not badly for Vin. She simply needs plenty of pewter and some of Sazed's care. He says the ribs aren't even broken, just cracked. Elend nodded absently.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, that's good.
Just cracked ribs,
Just cracked a little. Elend nodded absently. Some soldiers were clearing away the corpses, among them the 6 men that Vin had killed, including the one at the end. Elend squeezed his eyes shut. Okay. Wow, so it does sound like he was horrified of that.
Yeah. It's exploding head.
Traumatized.
Yeah. But that doesn't, so yeah, it's shocking, but that doesn't mean anything about Vin.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I don't
think it will for him. Yeah, it's just that it's traumatizing for him.
Yeah.
Just having seen that. Not that Vin is part of that traumatic memory now, so ooh.
Yep. And why didn't Zane come in? Like, that would have been the time for Zane to come in and kill Elend and then her. Like, Vin clearly made her choice. Well, no, he doesn't want to, but she made her choice.
Don't encourage him.
I'm not. I'm trying. I hope I'm not. Don't kill Vin, Zane. Be cool. All the cool kids are not killing Vin.
Mm-hmm.
Elend squeezed his eyes shut. What? Ham asked. Elend opened his eyes, forming his hand into a fist to keep it from shaking. I know you've seen a lot of battles, Ham, but I'm not used to them. I'm not used to... He turned away as the soldiers dragged away the headless body. Ham watched the corpse go. I've only seen her fight once before, you know. In the palace, a year ago. She only threw a few men against the walls. It was nothing like this. Ham took a seat beside Elend on the benches. She's Mistborn, Al. What did you expect? A single thug can easily take down 10 men. Dozens, if he has a coin shot to support him. A Mistborn. Well, they're like an army in one person. I know, Ham. I know she killed the Lord Ruler. She's even told me how she faced several Steel Inquisitors, but I've just never seen... He closed his eyes again. Okay, if this really does diminish Ellen's love for Vin, then I will retract every good thing I've said about
Mhm.
Ellen.
I don't think it will make his love for her diminish. It actually might give him a bit of clarity on what he is doing when he uses her as Mistborn. What she has to do when she is functioning
Uh,
as his knife.
yeah,
Okay?
that's actually really
The
nice. I
knife
love
gets
that.
bloody. Yeah, the knife is bloody. The knife goes through a whole bunch of horrible things.
Yep.
And this could give him the thing of, okay, this is what I'm making Vin be when I make her lean into this.
Yeah, and when I use her as the knife.
Mm.
And I suppose you could say this is the next stage of Ellen's arc, which is
Mhm.
he has grown capable of doing the job. Now he has to viscerally understand the stakes of the job.
Yeah. This is an unforeseen thing that he's, oh my gosh, now he's getting clarity and he's got to use that newfound maturity to work with it. So
Yeah,
I'm here for it.
me too. He closed his eyes again. The image of Vin stumbling toward him at the end, her beautiful white ball gown covered in the gore of a man she'd killed with her forehead. She did it to protect me, but that doesn't make it any less disturbing. Maybe that even makes it a bit more disturbing. He forced his eyes open. He couldn't afford to be distracted. He had to be strong. He was king.
Mm,
Oh gosh, I think he's going to take this the wrong way. I think he is going to be
this is
freaked out by Vin now.
moron. That's
Yeah,
stupid. No.
yep,
Think about what you're doing to her, what she's willing to do for you. Yes. Did you not know
yep,
that? That's what I don't know. Sorry. If I was Mistborn and I was able to protect my loved ones, I, I'm gonna do that.
yeah,
I don't That's not disturbing. Everybody uses every power available to them.
yep,
What you were training to with the dueling cane. What now Vin is just too powerful, so it's a problem. I will be very disappointed in him if he continues with this. I understand the initial shock, but I think the thing he should take from this is Vin goes through a lot of stuff for me, and I have taken that for granted.
yeah. You need to do more for her now. That's
Mm,
how you
yeah,
should take this.
yeah, and expect less of her, or like don't put this pressure on her. Her being your weapon hurts her.
Yeah. You think Straff sent them? Ham nodded. Who else? They targeted you and Set. I guess your threat to kill Straff wasn't as binding as we assumed. How is Set? He barely escaped alive. As it is, they slaughtered half of his soldiers. Oh gosh, what if it was Penrod? It can't have
Mhm.
been Penrod. It could have been Penrod, but I feel like he would know that if the vote was delayed, it would go to Elland. But then again, he thought Elland would be dead. So, yeah, I could see this being Penrod.
Yeah, why not? But I still feel, yeah, it makes sense that it would be Penrod and not Straff because Zane would have just killed everyone. Why
Yeah,
not send Zane? Why not send Zane with Adium? Boom.
exactly. Zane's omission here
Mm,
does suggest that it might not have been. And I think we have been taken for fools, and we were deliberately
mm,
supposed to think it was Zane. And now I think it's
mhm.
Penrod.
Yeah, and remember the Vin saying these men will surprise you. So I'm
Yeah,
I'm with you. I think it's Penrod.
yeah. He barely escaped alive. As it is, they slaughtered half of his soldiers. In the fray, Demure and I couldn't even see what was happening up on the stage with you and Vin. Elland nodded. By the time Ham had arrived, Vin had already dealt with the assassins. It had taken her only a few minutes to wipe out all 6 of them. Ugh, 6
Jesus, that
minutes. It
felt like
felt like so
forever.
much. Yeah, felt
Yeah.
so much longer. Ham was silent for a moment. Finally, he turned to Elland. I'll admit, Al, I'm impressed. I didn't see the fight, but I saw the aftermath. It's one thing to take on 6 Allomancers, but it's another to do that while trying to protect a regular person and to keep any bystanders from harm. And that last man. Do you remember when she saved Breeze? Elend asked. It was so far away, but I swear I saw her throw horses into the air with her allomancy. Have you ever heard of anything like that? Ham shook his head. Elend sat quietly for a moment. I think we need to do some planning. What with today's events, we can't... Ham looked up as Elend trailed off. What? Messenger, Elend said, nodding toward the doorway. Sure enough, the man presented himself to the soldiers, then was escorted up to the stage. Elend stood, walking over to meet the short man who wore Penrod's heraldry on his coat. Ooh.
Ta-da! You called it.
Yep. My lord, the man said, bowing, I've been sent to inform you that the voting will proceed at Lord Penrod's mansion. What? No.
Yeah.
No. No. Well, maybe.
It's gonna happen. See, because then Elend is no longer king.
Yes, but here's the thing. Penrod's gambit of killing the other kings leaves him as the only one to get the votes. Why should Penrod believe that he can get the votes now when both Set and Elend are still alive? In which case, it would probably be best for Penrod to just say, you know what? I'm out. Elend can be king. That's fine.
I think you can still give it a try. Why not at least give it a try? Why give up immediately? Rather, if you're gonna have Elend be king, I don't think he would give up.
Okay. The voting? What nonsense is this? His Majesty was nearly killed today. I'm sorry, my lord. I was simply told to deliver the message. Elend sighed. He'd hoped that, in the confusion, Penrod wouldn't remember the deadline. If they don't choose a new leader today, Ham, then I get to retain the crown. They've already wasted their grace period. Ham sighed. And if there are more assassins? Vin will be laid up for a few days at least. I can't rely on her to protect me all the time. Let's go.
Ugh.
Oh, dear.
I don't like the way that feels.
No, I don't like the way that feels either. First off, how many of the assemblymen are dead, though?
I think it was, apparently it was only that they went after Set and...
Right. But this also means that all the assembly members saw Vin do an incredible feat here. Mm-hmm. So, do they really want to vote against Elend now? Elend could double down. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't be good. I don't think he will, but he could.
Yeah. Elend, get over yourself, though, about Vin.
Yeah.
I understand I can't rely on her to protect me all the time. That should be the end lesson, that, listen, I make her do these things. What she does is difficult, but the way that he says it there, that's weird. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But listen, it's all very fresh. I understand.
Yeah. I vote for myself, Lord Penrod said. Not unexpected, Elend thought. He sat in Penrod's comfortable lounge, accompanied by a group of shaken assemblymen, none of whom had been hurt in the attack, thankfully. Several held drinks, and there was a veritable army of guards waiting around the perimeter, eyeing each other warily. The crowd room also held Noordan and 3 other scribes who were there to witness the voting, according to the law. Okay?
Mm-hmm. So the collateral damage did not collaterally damage the assembly.
Yeah. I vote for Lord Penrod as well, said Lord Ducalier. Also not unexpected. I wonder how much that cost Penrod. Mansion Penrod was not a keep, but it was lavishly decorated. The plushness of Elend's chair was welcome as a relief from the tensions of the day. Yet Elend feared that it was too soothing. It would be very easy to drift off.
Is he being soothed?
Oh no.
I vote for Set,
said Lord Habron. Elend perked up. It was the second for Set, which put him behind Penrod by 3. Everyone turned to Elend. I vote for myself, he said, trying to project a firmness that was hard to maintain after everything that had happened. The merchants were next. Elend settled back, prepared for the expected run of votes for Set. I vote for Penrod, Phelan said. That's a surprise. No, is it? Is it, though? Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
A little bit.
I have to sit with that one for a bit, I think. I guess Penrod offered Phelan something better than Set did.
Yeah, better deal.
Elend sat upright, alert. What? The next merchant voted for Penrod as well, as did the next and the next. Elend sat stunned, listening. What did I miss? He thought. Good question, Elend. What did I miss?
He thought Penrod was not going to be doing anything in the background to try and win. He just thought
Yeah.
Penrod was just going to be Penrod over there. He wasn't scheming and offering.
Yeah, and I guess I just kind of assumed that Penrod would end up giving it to Set regardless.
You didn't think Penrod wanted it himself. We didn't really
Yeah.
consider that. We weren't like, yeah, Penrod's going to take it. We were like, no,
Yeah.
Penrod's so honorable.
Yeah, I guess I didn't take him seriously. Yet again, I feel played a fool by Sanderson. Well done.
Love it.
What did I miss? He thought. He glanced at Ham, who shrugged in confusion. Phelan glanced at Elend, smiling pleasantly. Elend couldn't tell if there was bitterness or satisfaction in that look. They switched allegiances that quickly? Phelan had been the one to sneak Set into the city in the first place. Man, if this was always the plan between him and Penrod, I'd be very shocked.
I don't think it was always the plan. I think that it just evolved.
Yeah. Elend looked down the row of merchants, trying with little success to gauge their reactions. Set himself wasn't in the meeting. He had retreated to keep hasting to nurse his wound. I vote for Lord Venture, said Hawes, foremost of the Ska faction. Kermit
Yay.
Hawes. This also managed to get a stir out of the room. Hawes met Elend's eye and nodded. He was a firm believer in the Church of the Survivor, and while the different preachers of the religion were beginning to disagree on how to organize their followers, they all agreed that a believer on the throne would be better for them than handing the city over to Set. There will be a price to pay for this allegiance, Elend thought as the Ska voted. Yes, there will be.
We were wondering about that.
You should have just proposed to Vin again.
Yeah,
that would have been a much
price.
better plan.
Yeah, you were going to give Vin your allegiance anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're disturbed by Vin's awesome power.
They knew Elend's reputation. Could you imagine if Elend proposed to Vin and then the attack happened and then suddenly Elend's like, oh my god, I gotta get out of this.
She could explode my head too.
This would become a very different kind of story.
Mm-hmm.
They knew Elend's reputation for honesty and he would not betray their trust. He had told them he would become an open member of their sect. He hadn't promised them belief, but he had promised them devotion. He still wasn't certain what he had given away, but both of them knew they would need each other. I vote for Penrod, said Justin, a canal worker. Av do I, said Thurts, his brother.
Sorry.
Do you think it's easy coming up with this many voices in one sitting? May I not have to do many of these voices again soon. Elend gritted his teeth. He'd known they would be trouble. They never had liked the Church of the Survivor, but 4 of the Ska had already given him their votes. With only 2 remaining, he had a very good shot at a deadlock. I vote for Venture, said the next man. I do too, said the final Ska. Elend gave the man, Vet, a smile of appreciation. That left 15 votes for Penrod, 2 for Set, and 7 for Elend. Deadlock. Elend reclined slightly, head resting against the chair's pillowed back, sighing softly. Ooh, is that it? Are we safe?
I
We
don't
can't
know.
be safe, can we?
Yeah, I don't know. Something's still...
You did your job, Vin. I did mine. Now we merely need to keep this country in one piece. Okay, reading slightly ahead, it's Lord Habron. What voice did I do for Habron?
He was very raspy.
Oh, right. It was this guy.
Okay.
Mhm.
Am I allowed to change my vote?
Elend opened his eyes. It was Lord Habron, one of the votes for Set. Oh my god. So help me, if Habron votes...
No, not Penrod, come on.
Don't you dare say yes, he's allowed to vote, Elend. Right now, because the vote happened, you are
Yeah,
king.
sorry, that's
no,
not
you
right.
are not.
No,
you are
That's
not
not how
allowed.
that works. Yeah, you don't get to do that.
You
mother.
cast your vote in front of the obligators. They
Yeah,
heard it.
sorry.
It is in the docket. It is in the tally. If anyone lets this happen, I will put
This
the book
is
down.
stupid. Yeah, that's stupid.
Unless he happens to want to change it for Elend, in which
No,
case,
but
yes.
but no.
But no.
But no
that-
tiebreakers. No, that's not how that works. Sorry.
Yeah. Elend opened his eyes. It was Lord Habron, one of the votes for Set.
I mean, it's obvious now that Set isn't going to win.
Habron said, flushing slightly. The young man... Oh, I picked really well for this one then, didn't I?
Yeah,
The young man...
he's a smoker.
Apparently... Well, it is an ashy world.
Yeah.
The young man was a distant cousin of the Alariel family, which was probably how he'd gotten his seat. Names still meant power in Luthadel. I'm not sure if you can change or not, Lord Penrod said. Okay, good. As much as you would gain from that, Penrod said, not sure. That's points in Penrod's favor, yeah?
Still not happy with him, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, I'd rather my vote meant something. There are only 2 votes for Set after all.
Oh, no. You made your choice.
Yeah, that
You
is it.
made
Sorry.
your choice.
Can you imagine? Sorry, can we just re-elect? I thought my guy was gonna win. But then, other people didn't vote, so I'm gonna vote differently. You moron. I guess, you know what? This shows how inexperienced they are with this whole idea of voting.
Agreed. Really, they should have, done it by jury and just, written down their vote and placed it and had it read.
Yes.
But, yeah, no, you can't. So help me if Ellen says yes, you can. No.
Yeah, Ellen, you're a moron then. Not even oh, Ellen, you're a moron, you're letting them take power. No, it's Ellen, your laws are stupid then.
Yeah, this would be I could imagine Ellen not defining this in his law, because, why would it be an issue? But anyone who thinks that the default is anything other than no, you cannot recast your vote, I think is foolish. Ellen could say, well, if that's the case, we would all have to revote, in which case it would be between Penrod and Ellen. And who does the vote go to in that situation, do you think? I feel like Penrod.
Yeah.
In which case, just say no, Ellen. The room fell silent. One by one, the members of the assembly turned to Ellen. Norden the scribe met Ellen's eyes. There was a clause allowing for men to change their votes, assuming that the Chancellor hadn't officially closed the voting, which indeed he hadn't. No. Terrible law, Ellen. Terrible.
No. What the hell?
Fucking law. No. Why would you do that? How could you do that? I don't like this. Unironically, I think Ellen is smarter than that. This is not something that should be in this book. I'm
frustrated.
Sorry.
I'm angry.
No.
What's the point if a person can change their vote? Oh, just because the voting hasn't closed. What is the point of their initial vote ever?
Has this ever been a thing anywhere?
Is this a thing?
Ever?
Yeah.
In any fiction or any history? Has that been a thing?
Tell us, chat, because I'm furious right now.
Yeah. In which case I would say contrived for drama. But I may be coming from a place of anger right now as I say
Yeah.
that.
Anger and ignorance if we're talking about me.
The clause was rather oblique. Norden was probably the only other one in the room who knew the law well enough to interpret it. He nodded slightly, still meeting Ellen's eyes. He would hold his tongue. So this is Ellen's opportunity to be dishonest.
Yes, and he won't.
It could come back to bite him if he's dishonest, I think. Which wouldn't be good.
He's going to be honest. He's going to stick to his principles.
Yeah, he is. That could earn him enough votes. All the same, I don't like this situation. I don't like that it's a thing.
It's not going to earn him a vote. I don't think so. This douche.
Ellen sat still in a room full of men who trusted him, even as they rejected him. He could do so as Norden did. I have to read that again. Ellen sat still in a room full of men who trusted him, even as they rejected him. He could do as Norden did. He could say nothing, or could say that he didn't know. Yes, Ellen said softly. The laws allow for you to change your vote, Lord Habron. You may only do so once, and must do so before the winner is declared. Everyone else has the same opportunity. Okay, but Norden could just yell out, "Declared!" What's stopping him from doing that?
Penrod has to declare it.
It would be, wouldn't it?
Then I vote for Lord Penrod,
Habron said. As do I, said Lord Hugh, the other who had voted for Set. Ellen closed his eyes. Are there any other alterations? Lord Penrod asked. No one spoke. Then I see 17 votes for myself, 7 votes for Lord Venture. I officially close the voting and humbly accept your appointment as king. I shall serve as best I can in this capacity. Ellen stood, then slowly removed his crown. Here, he said, setting it on the mantel. You'll need this. He nodded to Ham, then left without looking back at the men who had discarded him. The end of part 3.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's it. That's the death of Ellen in another way.
Yeah, I hate it. I'm sorry. Penrod should have just gotten the vote. If that this law is
No,
no,
it's the dramatic effect is so that Ellen could sit by his principles. He could have been dishonest, but he wasn't. And honor got him the loss.
I don't know. I can't go and change my vote. So
Well, like, can we start counting? Cool. Oh, no. The count looks pretty crap. Hold up. Let me just change.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't like that as a mechanic, if that makes sense. Like as a rule, as a gameplay mechanic, as I'm not.
As a law, yeah.
Yeah.
I need to process it a bit to see if I can change my mind or make peace with it. But at the moment, I'm very dissatisfied. But you know what? I'm very happy that Ellen's alive. I'm a bit pissed off with Ellen. I'm not feeling good about him.
Yeah, and I guess I'm proud of him for telling the truth here.
Yeah.
But I'm not happy with how we ended up getting there.
Which I feel like is the point. You know, we
Yeah.
have to end a part on something that's shocking and worrying, and it's as good as a death, I would say. It's as disappointing.
Yeah. I mean, I guess
Right.
like it makes sense in terms of first act, second act, third act structure that he would take a loss, if that makes sense, like in the overarching scheme of things. Yeah, I'm gonna have to sit with this one for a bit, guys, before I really render judgment on that those last paragraphs.
It's been a whirlwind of a chapter. Good lord.
Yeah. Surprised
Great
Set
plan.
didn't get more than 2, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's because Penrod was busy doing stuff in the background. That's the thing. That's what we missed.
Yeah, we
Didn't think about.
underestimated him.
Vin was right. She's like, these men will surprise you. And they did.
Okay, scary chapter. Wow. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Subscribe to That Darn Kitty if you get a chance. Join the Discord if you get a chance. And we'll see you next week. Okay, thanks, bye.
Okay, thanks, bye.